Master Qui-Gon, more to say, have you?
With your permission, my master, I have encountered a vergence in the Force.
A virgins, you say?
Located around a person?
Oh boy, his cells have the highest concentration of midichlorians I have seen in a life form. It was possible he was conceived by the midichlorians.
You refer to the prophecy of the one who will bring balance to the Force. You believe it's this boy?
Welcome back to the Burning Ewok Podcast. This is episode 15. I'm your host, Justin Granson, and with me are the other two hosts.
Yeah, Chuck.
And Dan.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Really enthusiastic to be here, man.
Hey, it's nice to have you back after a week. I know you had some stuff going on.
My kid came home. Yeah, my kid came home and we were hanging out. Yeah, last night I had a really good hair day going. I was looking really good, and today I look like a hobo who fell off of a train traveling somewhere. I don't know.
You should just wear a hat.
Oh, I hate hats, though. I mean,
figure I got the headset anyway. The hat just goes with it. Whatever.
I get headaches and stuff. I don't know what to.
You got to get a hat that fits.
You
You should get like the big, like a big fishing hat, or like well, I don't know, like the kid from One Piece. You know, you get that hat, like the straw hat.
No,
like a little.
No. Straw hat is not going to work.
It's that pirate show that's on Netflix that got really big a few months ago. It was based on the anime.
You don't
know
it's like
the biggest. It's like the biggest thing on Netflix this year.
Like One Piece Man is huge.
I have not watched it. I've seen some clips. It's interesting.
Is it One Piece Man or One Punch Man?
One Punch Man is a different thing. One Punch Man is another anime about a dude who can punch. I haven't seen that either. Though. Yeah. Anyway,
well, if I was cool, I would.
Well, here we go. Okay. Do you guys just want to get into talking about the episode, or do you guys want to talk about anything else going on throughout the week?
Let me just throw in one thing. I got Minecraft 1.21 server set up, and I've been playing on it, and it's been a lot of fun, and it's cool, and that's all I really have to say about it.
Hang on a second. Okay. I guess we're going to talk about Minecraft for a minute. It's 1.21.
1.21.
So like the initial release 1.0, they've only had 21 major updates since then? I feel like they would have had more at this point, because the game's like as old as Pac-Man.
It's getting there. We just celebrated 15 years.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so that's like one big update plus a year, so I guess that makes sense. Okay.
I have to say, though, the community, like the YouTubers that I watch and the people that play this game for a living, yes, I said that, they play this game for a living, they're still killing it, dude. They're still like coming up with cool ideas, and it's just entertaining as hell. So I don't know.
My oldest still plays it with his buddies.
Yeah.
It's very often what they do.
Yeah, my oldest will play it with his girlfriend sometimes. I've seen him play it. It's the only time I see him play it. And then every once in a while, my youngest will play. They've got like a game going that's been going on for years, that they've just got this thing that they just go and screw around with it for 15, 20 minutes or something every once in a while.
Yeah, we did a hard reset this server. So this time around, so we all started from scratch. But like the kids that can play it all day because they're on summer break, dude, they've got everything already. They're like, it's insane.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I guess my whole big thing is I got the Star Wars Unlimited Series 2 comes out tomorrow. Shadows of the Galaxy. Super stoked. Even though I don't think I went and did a pre-release tournament last weekend, so I did do that. So actually so it was since we talked last, and I did okay. I got a couple wins. So it was more about getting the new cards though, and I got some good ones, so I'm happy. Looking forward to getting more. I got a message in the mail or my email saying that my package is shipped, so I got some boosters coming, and I'm pretty stoked about that nerdness. Yeah.
I do love being an adult and just being able to like buy stuff, and then you forget that you buy it, and then you get that email that it's shipped, and you're like, yes! Or it just shows up at your door, you're like, woohoo!
Or I get like boxes like what's in front of me right here that I ordered like a month ago to fix my 3D printer, and it's still sitting in the box because I haven't had the time to take apart the printer because
stack it with the other boxes. I'll get to it.
The table that was out there that I was going to set it up on and work on all of a sudden turned into art easels and kids painting, and my son and his girlfriend are doing oil painting on canvas. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm not doing, yeah, whatever. I don't know.
Serious artwork.
Well, yeah, they're both art students too. So
no, I know that.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't think I've never messed with oils, to be honest. I always painted with acrylic because I was like, I'm not really an artist. I mean, I am, but I'm, I wasn't a painter.
I only finger paint.
Okay. All right. So I think this is going to be a fun episode to talk about.
My God.
I think we're going to have a good conversation here, and because of that, I'm going to give a shout out to one of our listeners. So Bryn, if you're out there, I know you're one of the ones that came and mentioned Green Pelican a few weeks ago when I said, hey, if anybody gives a shout out. So one of our listeners, Bryn Shook, she gave us she's an avid listener, and I meant to give her a shout out last week, and her favorite thing is when we fight. So that's why I'm prefacing right now. So
good. Well, this episode might have some of that.
I you know what? I think it'll have some good, healthy discussion with absolutely no issues.
Sure.
All right. So let's take it away. What's the name of the episode? It was episode 7 of the Acolyte. I don't know. I forgot the name of it. I don't have it in front of me, so I sound terrible about
taking
it.
the trash out. That's what I'm referring to.
All right. So, and that's what
Saul tells a story.
Yeah. So Dan, tell us what you think of this episode.
No. It's not my turn to go first. It is your turn to go first. You keep throwing it to me and Chuck to start, stir up the pot at the beginning of every episode.
It's been working really well for us, though.
I think you need to go first this time, and then we can pounce.
Okay. All right. So this is the second half of the flashback that was episode 3. Episode 7 finishes the story of what happened on Branduk. That's the island or the planet that has the witches on there, and we learn right away that the Jedi have been hanging out there for about 7 weeks, bored out of their mind, collecting weeds and prairie grasses and sticking them into machines for analysis, just doing all this really mundane Jedi work, which I really like because you got to figure there's 100,000 Jedi. They got to be doing something. They can't all be fighting stuff. So these are basically your national park service, people working and just like kind of finding stuff, looking for things.
Is it not a Jedi away team?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you know what? That's a really good point. It's very much.
Team.
It's just like the most Star Wars has gotten. Yeah, where they're just kind of like doing stuff like it did a flip, like Star Trek, like they had a Star Trek episode all of a sudden.
Yeah, and I gotta interject one more thing. Yeah, how did they not have Torben try and smoke some of the stuff that they were sampling or something like that? He's like the total adolescent. I'm so freaking bored, and I just want to go home. They should have had him try it when they're sitting around the fire. They should have had him try and smoke some of the samples they were taking.
That's in the outtakes. So, yeah, we'll just continue with this rundown. So, these Jedi, they want to make it something more special. Saul looking to make it more important than it probably really is. He's saying we're looking for a virgins. We're looking for something special because this planet 100 years ago, if you've the big event in the novels for the High Republic get referenced here. because there's this evil group that they're fighting against called the Nihil. They don't fight Sith, they don't fight any Force creatures, they don't fight anything like that. It's this group of called Nihil who are looking to take over the galaxy. And one of the things they do is very expanse-like, and they hurl asteroids into the hyperspace lanes, hitting ships, ripping ships apart, blowing out the hyperspace lanes, and the whole path of the hyperspace lane, the planets that are in the vicinity get decimated, just absolutely wiped out. Like life on those planets ends. And so this planet in the last 100 years has just sprouted life. It's full of life again, and they've seen this as an anomaly, and this is crazy. What has happened here? So Saul's opinion is that this is super noble. This is like the coolest thing we could possibly find because this is going to teach us more about the Force, et cetera, et cetera. But meanwhile, I think everybody's kind of bored out of their mind working on this.
Okay.
But then we get to the point where Saul goes off on his own, and then we get to parts where we see meets up, finds the twins, hiding behind the trees, following them around, follows them back to their place, sees that there's this old mine that must have been there from before the planet was wiped out. The remnants of this ancient mine are still there, that this society of witches is living in. He goes in there and gets everything wrong. He first of all sees the twins and then scary Darth Maul witch lady yelling at him. Like, okay, what's going on with that? And he saw that they were using the Force, so he knows that they're Force sensitive, sees that there's possibly a witch, follows them back, sees what's going on, sees that they're kind of like, they're getting yelled at, the kids are getting yelled at in that class, so he catches that part of it, and then he goes and sees that they're getting ready to do this ceremony with this giant pit in front of them. He's like, okay, this is messed up. I got to go back and tell everybody what's up. He goes back, tells everybody what's up, has everything kind of wrong of what's going on, so all the Jedi go. So then we got Trinity, Old Chewie, Stoner Torben, and Saul, who I will say is terrible in the episode. My two things I'm going to say about this episode that I think are absolutely terrible, and I'm going to combine it, episode 3 and 7. We're just going to say it's one episode now because it's directed by the same person. That dude does not know how to direct a Star Wars show. That guy does not know how. I really liked the script. I really liked the story. I do not like the execution. To me, this is like the equivalent of Attack of the Clones, where, man, the script was way better than the execution of that. So I put it on par with that. I like the steps that are taken. I see that there's a good show there. I just don't quite feel like it felt underwhelming, and it felt stiff. That's where I felt, it felt stiff to me. It felt
It's a Lifetime movie. That's what it ended up being. It was one sister gets, mad at the other one and burns down the house on accident in her anger. And then all the other do-gooders end up getting everything wrong. And it's just dumb. Like what you wanted it to be originally if you go back, a few weeks to probably, 5 weeks ago, probably whatever it was, when we were breaking down episode 3, and then as we got into the next couple episodes and we broke down the possible, puppeteer or string puller in the background of Chimere being there. He's not there. There's no callback. There's no presence of Chimere that we've seen now in these 2 episodes. And yeah, I know we got one more episode and maybe there's something to it there, but it's not there. There's no payoff to wait for this episode. It just ended up being pretty much exactly what we thought it was going to be. Kind of dumb. And
what's dumb about it, Dan? Why is it dumb? I will say that it definitely was executed poorly and acted poorly. I think it's stiff there, but why is it dumb? What's dumb?
Because
a couple of things.
Let's talk about it.
It's this whole assumption that the Jedi are just these bungling, complete idiots and can't get anything freaking right. They can't get away from their emotions. They can't get away from their egos or whatever. And it's like, it's that overreaction that you get in a lot of different things today. It's like everything's got to be taken to the extreme. So Soul's just the biggest bungling idiot of all of them, right? And Nara is just so stiff and mechanical throughout this whole thing. And oops, she just happened to kill everybody, on accident in the middle of the temple. It's so uninteresting how it all unfolds, because there really is no mystery to it. May tried to burn down her sister, and it was just an accident. Not interesting, not fun. It has nothing to do with Chimera, the Sith, or
But
whatever.
it does. Whoa. That's where you're 100% wrong.
No.
What does... Okay, so Darth Maul Witch Lady survives. She does not die. We do not see her body. She disappears.
I think
Right.
you see her
She's
in
only had-
episode 3.
She's Chimera's master. You caught that, right? Like,
No.
I'm pretty sure that's where this is going. I thought that was pretty obvious. They do not show her body anywhere.
No, and Leslie Headland was interviewed on Nerdist.
Nerdist.
Nerdist?
Yeah, it was on
today,
Nerdist.
and
Nerdist, yeah.
She said that she's probably on a Sith planet. She's probably on a Sith planet somewhere.
I
Okay.
think
I missed
I think
this.
the last episode, actually, we're going back to Brenduk.
Okay, so I missed that part of this. I don't know how, because I watched both episodes twice. So I could have sworn I saw her body in episode 3.
Nope.
I could have sworn.
No.
So
No, it's not there.
Whatever. If that's it, it's just not. It's not done well. It is so, like, I don't. It's
Okay,
bad.
are you talking the whole show bad or just these 2 episodes?
I'd say so far the only interesting episode has been episode 5. That's it.
I thought 6 was fantastic.
6 was
I thought
It was okay.
fantastic. I thought it was great.
6 was not. 6 was very much of like.
We
it was-
talked about it. Let's
yeah,
give
it
Chuck
was-
a chance to talk about it here, because
I didn't hate
20
6,
minutes
but
of
I
it.
didn't think 6 was very eye-opening and or groundbreaking in any way. It was just like, okay, we're gonna switch places, and like Justin said, we're gonna show the Sith as this, like, hey, I'm open, whatever. I'm not afraid of you. I'll tell you whatever you want to know. And on the other side, the Jedi are all like, we're gonna chain you up and make you listen to our story. And it was very. I think 6 is a hardcore slap in the face to the fans as well as Star Wars in general. I really do. I think it is.
How is it a slap in the face? That is okay. Let's go extreme here.
Yeah, I think to be honest with you, I think Disney bought this entire IP specifically to sink it, to destroy it. I mean, I've not seen anything that they've done under maybe The Mandalorian that is any good. Look at the 3 movies they made; they're garbage. They didn't follow Lucas's any of his outline at all. They threw it away. They thought they were smarter and better, and they didn't. Look at that. The 3rd movie, Episode 9 is an abysmal pile of garbage, and you know it is because you've said it is.
I agree. Episode 9 is terrible.
So I think if
But
like,
you just said everything they've done and they're trying to bury it. So there's nothing that they've done that you like. So
No,
like you
that
went you're
episode-
going extreme right now. You realize you're going.
I am.
You're
I'm go-
going.
I
you're
know.
going.
I know what
you're
I'm
going
saying. I
scorched
know what
earth.
I'm saying.
Okay,
I
so you're
understand what
going
I'm
there.
saying.
Okay,
I understand what
okay.
I'm
So
saying.
I just want you to like
Yes.
remember other things that you've said in the
Yep.
past that don't
Right.
jive with that. Okay.
So here's my thought. Here's my honest opinion. 30,000-foot level, looking at just the Acolyte. Okay. When you watch Star Wars, if you watch Star Wars, what do you watch Star Wars for? What is the point of some of these fantasy stories that we watch? It's escapism. It's I want to go to a place where I can cheer on the good guy and I can hate the bad guy. And the Emperor, he plays it so well. In fact, Ian McDermott, right? That's his name?
Yeah.
In Return of the Jedi, that son of a bitch is so evil. Like, he plays it so well. Okay, that's like my favorite part of Star Wars is just how bad this guy is. And you're like, he's like, oh, I'm gonna kill all you. You're gonna sit here and watch all your friends die, and they can't do anything, and you can't do anything either. Like he's just so horrible. And then you come to Acolyte, and it's like the exact opposite. Hey, we're gonna make the Jedi, the thing that you want to root for, the thing that you want to aspire to be. The kids go to Disney World with their lightsabers and they want to be Jedi. We're going to make them a bunch of bumbling idiots who, by the way, this isn't an episode of Star Trek because Prime Directive, you wouldn't mess with those witches. You wouldn't go in there and try and take their kids. You just wouldn't do it. In fact, the whole concept of them going in to some foreign, group of people and just like demanding that they hand over their children, that's insane. I mean, I get that the Jedi were this like beautiful, wonderful, like group of people who had this like this way of living that was like, we're going to protect people. We're going to live up to this huge standard. And that people, when they realize their infants or their children, I don't know how it worked, because this is fiction anyway, but whatever. But I'm saying like they would like send their kids to be Jedi. Like it was an honor to be a Jedi. These witches clearly don't feel that way. They don't feel that way. They feel the Jedi are a different type of people than them. They don't want anything to do with the Jedi. They don't want their kids to have anything to do with the Jedi. So say, hey guys, thanks, but we're not interested. Like, I don't understand why it went beyond that point.
I gotta say, because I rewatched this scene like 4 or 5 times now, where Indara goes to the witches, and it's like, I think the mother goes, you can't have my children, something along those lines, right? And she goes, well, you can't deny that the Jedi have the right to test your children. And then she goes, with your permission, of course.
Yeah, that's insane.
Awkward,
it was terrible. That is a terrible line. That's a terrible line.
So,
but that doesn't make up the whole series. That right
it's
there.
A metaphor,
and hang on.
That's a metaphor for the whole series.
That's
though.
not what a metaphor. That's not what a metaphor. First of all, it's not
Absolutely.
what a metaphor is. But second of all, that's not what a metaphor is. The metaphor is when you compare something.
I agree 100%. It's a metaphor.
That's not what a metaphor is. Anyway,
it is a representation of the rest of the damn series.
You can say that, but here's the thing. No,
Here's
Chuck, I have to stop you here before we get off subject on that part, because what you said about how you root for the Jedi and you want something really good and then you want something really evil, and the two have to clash, and that makes you feel good because the good guys are going to win at the end of the day. How the hell?
The point of Star Wars.
Wait, whoa! Then how could Anakin ever fall as a Jedi?
That's
okay. How could you ever have an Inquisitor, which is a Jedi that falls? How can you can't ever tell a story where Jedi screw up? Jedi are just people. They're not like omnipotent perfect things. They're not like Jesus. They're not those are not what they've ever been. They've never been that. And that's according to Lucas. And Lucas in the prequel trilogy shows all the cracks in the Jedi Order and why it's so easy to take down. Lucas constructs it, and this is like where it starts, where the cracks begin is in this story that we're watching right now. These are the cracks that lead up. No, it's not. This is exactly what they said this show is.
I know.
And that is exactly what Lucas said. So, like, what you're talking about is like completely off.
I know what you're saying, and I know the idea you're trying to convey. But the way they are doing it is not chinks in the armor. It's like the way they're doing it, it's like little kids wearing daddy's armor and falling down the stairs because they trip over the coattails. This is not, I mean to do well, and oops, I just happened to kill like 30 witches on accident.
Yeah,
the way it's conveyed is not not done very well.
So let's fast forward. Hold on. Let's fast forward 100 years to Qui-Gon Jinn, and he goes to the planet Tatooine, which, by the way, there's a Virgins there. We just did the thing in the beginning of the show. We did the little quote from that.
I got
Tatooine is a dead planet, so there's a Virgins and there's all this life all of a sudden, but Tatooine's a dead planet. It's kind of odd, but anyway.
No. No, the Virgins is Anakin. Anakin's the virgins, right?
Okay, so the twins aren't the virgins?
The twins are not a virgins. If you read the article that was in Nerdist today, Leslie Heelan's, do you guys know who Pablo Hidalgo is? Okay, Pablo
No.
Hidalgo he's like in the credits of everything Star Wars since Lucas. He's the guy who's in charge of all the lore, making sure everything goes. It's the same person that's always been there. They have the same people that have always been like in charge of what is canon, what can be done. They all go to him and say, hey, can I do this thing? Is it legit? And he'll be like, yeah, we can make that change. That's not going to screw everything up. So he's the one that gives like, yeah, you could put Ki-Adi-Mundi in there. It's all legends. You guys can change his birthday. No one cares. Nobody should care.
That wasn't Legends, though. That was in 2014 that was made. 2014, Disney owned it by then.
What was in 2014?
The comic that came out that set his birth date.
I don't think they had established what was legend and what was canon at that point. Because they owned it. I think they made the decision right around 2015. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I mean, if you're going to get bent out of shape about that, just go on Star Wars Theory and just go be a troll somewhere, honestly, because it's not constructive. It's not constructive at all. It just like it is looking for like it's like looking for the smallest thing to like get mad about.
It's
like, oh, they ruined all of Star Wars by changing Ki-Adi, a character that everybody hates.
Again, there's no reason for him to be in it. There's no reason for him to be in it.
There is, because he's showing the Jedi arrogance. He's the guy that's like, the Sith haven't been around for 1,000 years. And the dude that's the Chancellor is the frickin' Sith. He's an idiot. The Jedi are idiots in the prequels.
Oh,
they were, it's like, they've always been idiots. It's what happens. That's like the whole point that they're able to fall.
I think
they're idiots, but you have 3 movies where this farmer kid, he goes, and what does he strive to become? He strives to become a Jedi. The Jedi are this great thing that he wants to embody. And when the Emperor finally turns him, actually when Vader threatens his sister, and Luke is like, I'm going to kill you, and and he turns for just a split moment. He lets his anger out, and he cuts his dad's hand off, and then the Emperor's laughing, and he's like, you know what? I'm not going to turn. I'm going to be the good Jedi like my father, like Obi-Wan was, like
it's
Yoda
it's
was.
like one of the key scenes in Star Wars. It's wonderful. What's your point?
Okay.
What changed? What changes that? Like that has happened right now? That changes that moment. That moment's still there. Everything you're watching right now builds to that moment.
It's the execution that's the problem here, right? It's one thing to talk about the arrogance of the Jedi, right? In being fallible, right? And it's a Jedi ideal, right? The Jedi are constantly trying to be different, right? I think if you dig into the spiritualism of Jedi, I can't believe I'm talking about this, but
hey, you signed on for the podcast, my friend. Suck it up and deal.
You dig into the spiritualism of the Jedi, right? And I think it kind of comes down to like it's almost like a transcendence, right? Is that what they're trying to reach to? That get your blue glowy Force guys at the end. Once they move on from this realm, they become
that isn't something that happens until Qui-Gon Jinn, though.
Dude, let me finish.
Okay.
So I think it's this ideal of that the Jedi are good and that they're always working towards good. And I think you can say that Spaceballs said it best, right? It was just evil will always win because good is dumb. It doesn't mean you're bumbling idiots. And that's what this series portrays them as is bumbling idiots.
Let's break this down then. Let's break down what the bumbling idiot moves.
But here's the thing: Qui-Gon Jinn is not an idiot.
No,
and neither
he's not.
was Obi-Wan.
Nope.
And you say that they were arrogant, and this just shows them as idiots. Maybe Qui-Gon was arrogant, but he truly believed.
When I say the Jedi, it's a generalization. There are still really good Jedi within them. Yoda is still a great Jedi. Yoda's the one that goes like, hey, why can't we figure out that this planet's not in the archives? We need a child to figure out that somebody took it out there.
Right.
So, I mean, Yoda gets it. Yoda knows what's up. Obi-Wan knows what's up. Qui-Gon Jinn does know what's up. Probably Mace Windu also, but he gets killed, And but that's I'm making a generalization where like the librarian in episode 2 is like, what are you talking about? It's not here. It's that arrogance and everything. Now, if we're going to talk about the bumbling idiotness of what these Jedi are doing, Let's break it down by character. So, because I don't think it's as, I think it's more of a cascade effect of like misunderstanding and trying to do the right thing and then it just falling apart in your face more than bumbling idiots. Because you've got Torben, who's the young punk, who's really impatient, really wound up, gets his head messed up with a witch, and then he's just completely screwed up at that point, right? So he's like ready to get out of there, figures out a way, zooms off in the speeder, right? He's messed up. Witches get in your head, screw up your mind. To screw up a Wookiee's head, he's off living on a planet writing circles on walls because messed up his brain so bad. You've got Trinity. She's the master, right? Real stiff, but she's also the most stoic and the one that is telling him the whole time, no, let's do it this way. We got to be cool. We're not messing with him, blah, 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 right? Then you've got Saul, who is kind of the mirror image of the stranger because he wants a Padawan, right? But he's probably not quite ready for it yet. He's still a knight. He still doesn't know what's up. And so he does make a series of mistakes. Now, he goes and sees the witches doing all this stuff. May goes and talks to the Jedi and tests. And she's like, oh, yeah, they got to do this. And they're going to sacrifice everybody and sacrifice us. And they're like, whoa, what's going on here? Right? We got to stop them because they're going to kill these kids. So the first thing that happens, huh?
Do they though?
Do they what? No.
It's not their place.
It's not their place. You're right. It's not their place. But you got the kid runs off because he's just a punk Padawan. He wants to get something done. And Saul wants to prove that he could be a teacher, right? Some similar to Anakin impatience, other things like that.
They're not at all acting the way Jedi would act.
Okay.
Like shit, the other two Padawan that were killed in the other episode were freaking 10 times smarter than these guys. And they were killed. One was a Padawan and one was, what's his name? Yord.
He was a Jedi Knight.
Yeah. I feel like Yord and Jackie were 10 times what these guys are.
Sure, and maybe they were. And that's fine, but that's not the story. The story is how these Jedi screwed up, how they covered it up. That's the story, and how this leads to the rise of Sith, right? How this opens the door for the dark side to open up. Right?
And,
I mean, that's the whole point. Like a season 2,
they've done this is terrible.
Maybe
I don't see.
Maybe I'll be joining you next week after the next episode.
Do you think Kamir represents the dark side? Like he does not. He's nowhere like the Emperor or Vader was. He's like having conversations with her. Like, I'll tell you anything you want to know.
What the hell does Palpatine do to Anakin? Are you kidding me? You want to learn how to bring somebody back to the dark side? Oh, a Jedi can't teach you that, but I could tell you the story of Darth Plagueis, and I can tell you these stories about how you might be able to bring back somebody you care about. I can lure you with these things. Yeah. It's what the Sith do. He's absolutely doing what the Sith do, and it's actually done better than it was done in the prequels. 100%. Like 100%.
Well,
no
so
way.
I will say the all 22 minutes of episode 6 was good, but we only got the 22 minutes of it, right?
How much did you get in episode 6 of Return of the Jedi of the Emperor? Maybe 22 minutes, right?
We're not talking about Return of the Jedi.
I'm going back to what Chuck said.
I was 9 when Return of the Jedi came out, so I didn't know the freaking difference between good TV and bad TV and good movies and bad movies, right? Now I do. This is the problem with the show. It's inconsistent. Like you have 2 really, really good episodes. The first 3 are boring. The third one is like just laughable. The first 2 are kind of boring. There's a couple interesting.
I like the first 2,
but episode 4, meh. This one is just I don't know. It's just It's just they should have just done one big episode for 3 and 7. It should have just been one long episode.
I'll say this. I'll say this. You have 3 good actors, 1 really interesting character, and that's all you got.
But what's at the end of the day, it's about the one really interesting character, right?
No, it's not. No, it's not. It's not. It's not about Quinn or Kamir. In fact, Kamir was. They wanted more of him. They started filming, and they're like, "Oh crap, he's really good. We should put him in more stuff. Like we should have more of him. We should have more of him from the beginning."
Well, they were gonna. The plan was for him to be built out on episode or seasons 2 and 3, at least 2.
Well,
who knows where he goes from there? But
he's your most interesting character
for sure
in the show.
Absolutely,
without a doubt.
Absolutely, I
the
agree.
Rest of them, you have great acting in Stoll. The actor who plays Saul is great, and then you have what's her name?
I think his acting's actually really subpar. This last in episodes 3 and 7, it's bad.
Well,
I think it's 6. I think it was fantastic.
I thought it was suspect in the first couple. I don't think he's the right guy for the part.
Well, you know that he does not speak English, right?
I don't agree.
I know.
Here's the thing.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that's where it hurts him. And I mean, good for him for trying. And them doing it. I mean, I think speaking with other characters, especially with Trinity in this last episode, it's rough. Like she's trying to carry him.
Why did they just have him speak in Korean and do subtitles?
Yeah, he could have just.
It would have been better.
An alien language.
Yeah.
No, why not?
An alien language happens to sound just like Korean.
Friggin' they just call it basic in friggin' Star Wars anyway.
Yeah. But anyway.
All right.
Disney. All right.
The one cool thing in the episode, I'm going to give it to you right here. I thought it was dumb that the Wookiee could be controlled, but it was a pretty cool fight scene, and I liked how they called back to the scars on Torben's face. With
that. Here's the thing about that. I was like offended as shit during that scene. Pardon my French. I'm trying not to swear, but I'm getting a little angry.
What offended?
Well, the witches
apparently, this is going back to the whole thing is a slap in the face. I'm sticking with your extremes, Chuck. We're gonna
slap in the face.
Okay.
I can talk about that if you want. I mean,
I want to know the Wookiee thing. The Wookiee thing. Go ahead.
Yeah, they said you shouldn't have brought him here, and then here comes the Wookiee in his brains, like the witches. It took the entire, what do you call it? The entire coven to take over his brain. Okay, so. But was she implying that because he was a Wookiee, he was like somehow like less intelligent or less powerful? Like I don't understand. I was like, come on, you guys.
I think he was more powerful. I think because he so easily took over the pattern. Which my favorite scene was the scene where she went into his mind. I think that part was phenomenal. That was incredible.
Bro, it was terrible.
What are you talking about? That was excellent.
Horrible.
Again, that is more of like the seduction of the dark side and more of that stuff. Absolutely fantastic. Done perfect. That was, I thought, the shining moment of the episode. Yeah. So he gets his mind taken over, and he comes back ready. He's like, "You're not getting in my head this time. I'm blocked. I got you blocked out now." This Wookiee probably thinking the same thing. So it took 40 of them to get in there. And they're like, and that Wookiee can overpower them completely.
I agree with Justin on that one.
So saying, oh, you should have brought him was because he was stronger, physically stronger.
Yeah. Now we got our beast that's just gonna whoop you guys. And I thought that was great. So this is something that's part of Legends, which I think I really, really hope they bring back, because when Timothy Zahn wrote the Heir to the Empire books, he put something in those books that kind of screwed up Chewbacca, because one of the things when they're on Kashyyyk is the Wookiees are using their claws, and they're like, well, Chewbacca never uses claws when he fights. He just like throws people around and bonks them, they're like, well, the story comes out is you become a mad claw if you're a Wookiee, because your claws are tools. They're not ever meant to be weapons. If you use them as weapons, it's disgraceful, and you get shunned and called a mad claw. So the fact that he uses his claws on his face to gouge his face would be a sign of absolute, like, he screwed up. Like this is like the worst thing you could possibly do, and like another reason for him to leave. So I hope that they kind of keep that part as canon. I think that was kind of a neat thing with Wookiee.
I think his character, believe it or not, is probably the biggest, what I would say, I can't say slap in the face, but it's definitely against the Jedi. Like he doesn't act like a Jedi at all. He's like he gets angry and he's like, he growls like Chewbacca would, which makes sense. Chewbacca he wasn't a Wookiee. He wasn't a Jedi.
When does he do that?
This guy's supposed to be a Jedi, and he's acting like he's just acting stupid. He's not acting with poise and acting proper. I mean, he has the man bun. There you go. I guess.
Wait. When does he not act proper? I don't even know what scene you're talking about.
When they're just like sitting around talking and stuff, like he comes across like, like, oh, don't mess with him, he'll tear your arms off, kind of like, not necessarily that to that degree, but no, it's in there. It's not necessarily this episode. I'm saying like through the whole thing.
They haven't had him in there.
There were several times where I was like, that is not how a Jedi would act. Like,
well, wait a minute. His introduction, he those bandits are coming to rob him, and he just steals their gun and breaks their gun and scares them off. He doesn't hurt them.
No, I know.
I thought that was pretty. I thought that was pretty Jedi.
I don't know, man.
I don't know. And like they took over his brain, so it wasn't acting as himself. So he was being completely controlled. But he really doesn't do anything else. He didn't do anything else.
No, he did some other stuff.
He cooked.
He did.
And then they made the joke about his cooking, and they made the joke about like, don't mess with a Wookiee and his cooking, which is just a racist Wookiee joke. Like, they'll tear your arms off if you cheat. Which that was just a throwback line from Star Wars Episode 4.
I understand what it was.
I don't know. Why was he why was it a slap in the face to Wookiee kind?
He doesn't
I know what Chuck is saying, and
he's not acting stoic or
he's not. He doesn't come across as like this. Like you would expect him to behave differently as a Jedi Wookiee, and he doesn't really seem to be behaving a lot differently than like a Chewbacca.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Okay,
yep.
I mean that's really what I would say, and I would say my thoughts aren't far from where Chuck's are on that topic. I will say there is no way in hell that Disney's trying to destroy Star Wars at all.
Yeah, I know. I wasn't even
going
to
I will give you why. Force Awakens, $2 billion box office. Last Jedi, $1.3 billion. Rise of Skywalker, $1 billion. Rogue One, $1 billion. They have done nothing but make money off of this franchise.
Cool. But they don't give two shits about anything Lucas did or any of their fans. They just want the money.
It's just absolutely dumb, Chuck. Like,
no,
honestly, it's an idiotic statement. Let's put it this way: who instead of Disney should have taken it? Let's say Sony got it. Oh,
I actually thought about that.
Oh, yeah, like we'll put it in Sony's hands. How'd that turn out? Put it in Warner Brothers' hands. Holy crap! How terrible would that be?
I agree 100%.
Name me one group. Warner Brothers.
I couldn't think of another group.
Warner Brothers is bankrupt right now.
Yeah, but
they can't do anything right.
Has absolutely made a living on Harry Potter and nurtured that baby like nothing else.
That's it, though. And guess what? And all like the movies that come out after Harry Potter are bombing now. They're not making money. They're struggling.
They're not as interesting though. They're not very good.
Yeah.
I honestly, other than that episode with Bill Burr, where they go into that cantina and that's when the Mandalorian takes his helmet off and everything. That is my favorite episode of all of it. That episode. I love that episode.
It's a great episode, I agree.
But beyond that, like, I can't think of anything. Like, if you look at the three movies that Disney did, well, Rogue One is a standalone. Rogue One and Andor, they're kind of a different animal. And I don't have any negative things to really say other than maybe it's a little too dark at times, but I just feel like that's a different animal. But if you look at the Rey and the movies, I think she's an amazing character in the first movie, like where she's like being interrogated and Kylo Ren comes in and he's trying to probe her mind and she's probing him back. I love that scene. Seems so badass.
Well, you're not doing your thesis of Disney sucks with everything really
Okay,
good right now.
But beyond that, like the movies kind of like you had, like you said about Luke, and like you had Luke Skywalker like not even show up in the first movie. You know, and then he plays like I get he's kind of doing this Yoda thing in the second movie, where he's kind of like, hey, you know, I'm just this goofy old guy that lives on an island, you know.
But okay, like where you're going with, like we've covered all this. Like nobody wanted to direct the Star Wars movie because of how toxic episodes 1, 2, and 3 were, right? Not knowing that there's this group of people coming up that absolutely adore them, right? So they missed the ball on that, and the only guy that wanted to do it was J.J. Abrams. Okay? So, hats off, you tried, right? Right? You tried. We've discussed these movies, and where he sets it up is terrible that he never had the three big actors ever in the same room together. Stupid. Terrible. We all know this. So I mean, I think Disney acknowledges the failures of episodes 7, 8, 9, right? We've talked about them ad nauseum. We don't have to talk about them anymore. I mean, let's talk about, like, the other stuff Disney's done. Starting with Rebels. Rebels might be the single most beloved thing that they've done. That's the thing that the kids are going to grow up with now and are going to look back as the most fond thing ever. And
they're going to feel bad, though.
And it pays off really well in Ahsoka. Like, really well in the Ahsoka series, which is done by the same people. The same creative people that Lucas hired to do the Clone Wars, you know, as it moved into Disney, were the same people from the Clone Wars to Rebels and are now doing a lot of the shows. So I don't know, like, if, like, just like the idea that Disney is out to destroy Star Wars. I mean, I don't know if you're just trying to get a rise out of me, because that part's like, yeah, I'm like more confused now than I am anything. They're like, where you're going.
Show me where they've handled any of this with any kind of adoration or love, because I don't see it anywhere.
Disney is not an art house studio. Okay, so Disney, LucasArts, they're not in the business of making movies to be artful and nurture, those things. They're there to make fun movies. It's not sci-fi, it's sci-fantasy, right? It is a space opera. It is all over the place. It is a mess. It's a fun mess because you got lightsabers and explosions and fire and space, and you're suspending disbelief while you're watching them. You're just going into most of these movies and shows that you're not getting Oscar-winning performances, though there are really good performances buried within the movies and the shows, but it's not there to win an Oscar for anything other than special effects and music.
Yep.
What it is there is to make money for the studios, let people have fun, and build an audience that wants to keep coming back to the well for another drink every time you release new content. That's their goal.
You know what everybody is going to remember from the Acolyte? They're going to remember the Khmer fight. They're going to remember that. Mm-hmm. And when they get more Khmer, they're going to see a preview for next season when Khmer's there fighting more Jedi or see another Sith. Hell yeah, everybody's on board. Numbers on the show are good. It's going to get another season.
Is that really, you're really going there, huh? You really think that the show's doing really well? Because the Nielsen report says they lost 75% of their audience since Ahsoka. So you're telling me that
since Ahsoka?
Since Ahsoka. That's not true. The numbers are down 75% on this show since Ahsoka.
I don't think that's true.
I think they were like top of all of the shows.
Yeah, like you're kind of. I think you got the numbers wrong.
No, I just looked it up right before we got on. Nielsen report.
Nielsen is different than. I mean, like Disney's going to have the streaming numbers, right? I'm looking for it, but I thought it like absolutely blew away everything else. I'll see if I can find it, and maybe we talk about the audience.
It's doing really well, and the lay people really like it. They're having a really good time with it.
Well, I okay, good for them.
Yeah. I'm enjoying the hell out of it. I cannot wait for the finale.
The series premiere was 11.1 views in 5 days, and it was the largest premiere of the year on Disney for anything that they had.
And it was just under Ahsoka's numbers, if I remember. Ahsoka was slightly higher.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I'm kind of looking for as a comparison, but I can't find that right now.
They're not going to release it till later. They just want to do like I mean, people are watching it. When you see the hate videos getting 4 billion clicks, people are watching it. The haters are watching it. Everybody's watching it. You know why? Because as Dan said, it's Star Wars. And it gets clicks and it gets views.
Mm-hmm.
And some people, like, you're getting all bent out of shape about it, Chuck. Like, it's really kind of funny.
It's not funny at all.
It's pretty funny.
You have a studio actively shitting on people's.
But you know what?
Childhood.
You said this like 17 times now, and you haven't given a good example of when. Just
you
because
have the Jedi acting not like Jedi. You have the bad guy acting like.
You have a singular story of 4 Jedi that you think tells a story of how, like, everything went sideways, right? That's the story. They said, let's have a story about these Jedi where everything goes sideways for them, right? That's the premise.
Well, let's paint the Jedi as a bunch of idiots, and that's
okay. So
great,
that's all the Jedi. That's all the Jedi. Like, that's representative of everything that goes on, because obviously Yoda's around at this time too. Yoda's not in this.
Well, we're not seeing him.
Well, you're not going to see him.
Oh, I know,
for reasons. I mean, like, they've said he's not going to be in there. Like.
So,
what else has Disney done? I mean, they've poorly executed on some things and had some really cool things within those things they poorly executed on. Like, to me, this is still eon. Like, I just rewatched Book of Boba Fett, which to me is the absolute worst thing that Disney has put out outside of Episode 9. Episode 9, I don't talk about it. We're done. But as far as like the television shows, Boba Fett is by far the most disappointing. Because nothing really happens in there. It is a story about the coolest character becoming one of the most lamest characters, and that's really all that happens in there. The best episodes of Boba Fett are Mandalorian episodes, which are fantastic. Those are fantastic episodes within there. So no, I was saying cut you off before.
You're absolutely agreeing with me that Disney took a beloved character.
Yeah, they screwed that one up. But you can still have another season of Boba Fett and also make him awesome. They told one story, and it'd just be like, oh, it all sucks. Andor season 2 might suck. It's possible.
It might. It probably will. I bet it will. $100 it sucks.
Yeah. Like I said, you should go over to Star Wars Theory and you go to the Critical Drinker and join them.
I've watched Critical Drinker. I've watched Star Wars Theory. Star Wars Theory is one of the biggest Star Wars podcasts out there.
Yeah. Yeah, guess what got him more clicks?
He's made good points, though.
Does he?
He's got good points on why this falls short. Why this hurts the brand. Why this hurts.
It's not. The brand's not hurt. The brand's not hurt. I guarantee you the brand's not. This is the exact same reaction that the prequels got. This is the exact same reaction Jar Jar got.
I know.
Yeah.
I was very upset by the prequels. Attack of the Clones is one of the worst.
So is that George Lucas trying to destroy the franchise?
No, it was George Lucas. George Lucas made a serious mistake.
George Lucas executed a pretty good story poorly.
He focused too much on the special effects.
He was innovating special effects, and he made movies a lot cheaper to make, and digital video all came about because of it. That's what he's always done. He built a legacy off of blue screen and ILM, Pixar, all that stuff. That's what he did.
But if you look at him in the first 3 movies, all he cared about was the story.
No. He cared about making special effects and going, if it doesn't work, at least I can make some really cool toys. Hopefully it works, because I'm making a really corny Flash Gordon wannabe. He is an ideas man, and he's always had great ideas. And if it wasn't for his ex-wife editing that film, Star Wars would have been a complete disaster. An absolute complete disaster. It was her editing. and then getting John Williams at the end that fixed that movie. That's been very well documented.
Great.
So I mean, just
so that's all kind of the beauty's in the eye of the beholder, right? So I think at the time there wasn't anything any remotely like Star Wars out there,
True.
right? And it was different, and it had lightsabers and lasers that actually worked like really well on screen versus what the like not Buck Rogers, Flash Gordon, so bad. So bad, other than the Queen music.
There's an excellent. No, you're thinking of Flash Gordon.
That's what I said.
I thought you said Buck Rogers. Oh, okay.
I said Buck Rogers. No Flash.
Yeah. Anyway, I love that Flash Gordon movie also. It's terrible. I love it though. There's a really great documentary on Disney Plus all about ILM. And it talks about. You guys watch that?
No,
it's really good. It's like a
first
4 or 5 part series. Yeah, it's fantastic, and it just kind of.
I did watch the whole thing.
Yeah, it's really good.
If you take George Lucas at his word from the interview he gave at Cannes this year, right, at the Cannes Film Festival, he wanted to make kids movies.
Yeah.
And I think other than, Empire Strikes Back, I think he accomplished what he set out to do. He made a lot of money.
Empire's still a kid movie, too.
I'd say he started to go do what like the Harry Potter movies did. And he started to grow, or somebody started to grow it, and they went hard left and did a 180 in Return of the Jedi. Completely. Other than the space battles, Empire Strikes Back is just a totally different movie than the other two, right? And I've not made it hidden. I've not hidden the fact that I think while I appreciate and I love Star Wars and Return of the Jedi, A New Hope and the Return of the Jedi, that I don't think they're very good movies. They're nostalgia for me. I love them. It's like my wife's favorite movie of all time is like The Labyrinth. Terrible movie, but she grew up with it. It's her kid movie. It's her nostalgia, right?
That Labyrinth is truly terrible.
Oh my God, it's so bad. But to her, it's like an amazing movie, and she loves it to death, right? And I think that's what Star Wars will always. The original trilogy will always be that to us.
Well, like the Flash Gordon movie is that to me. Like I remember seeing that. The Black Hole, Disney's of the Black Hole. Remember that one? I love that movie. It's terrible. It's terrible.
It is a bad movie.
The Star Wars movies are all better than these movies. They are on a different level. Better for a lot of different reasons, but they're still pulpy genre. They're still pulpy genre, spacey flicks. That's what they are, and that's why I love them. Also, I also like a lot of bad movies. It's like I can forgive corn and cheese and witches doing stupid chants. I don't mind that. That's the stuff I like. Give it to me. I don't care. And so, but I mean, you guys didn't really watch a lot of the Clone Wars or Rebels, right?
No, I didn't watch any of the animated stuff.
You don't see how they pulled the witch stuff from there and put it into here. So it's like I see that and I'm like, this is not the same, but it's a reflection of how they did it in the Clone Wars. This is a different group, So I'm looking at it that kind of stuff because it's just like I pull all those little things out of it and
fan service, right? In fan service is okay.
That's not fan service though. That's world building.
It's fan service.
Fan service is giving Chewbacca a medal at the end of Rise of Skywalker. That's fan service.
No, in this,
fan service. Fan service would be like that. That in the first of the last 3 movies, where the Millennium Falcon flew through all the wrecked spaceships and stuff. That's fan service.
I'm gonna say all it is it's the people, the showrunner, Disney, whoever. They're like, hey, let's give people a reason to go back to the other stuff to see it. right? And not because it's good, not because it's really relevant. It's just it's a callback to some other property that they have and they want to go, right. You're stroking the e-peen of hardcore Star Wars nerds, that know this other content, of which there's so much out there, that the people buying tickets to go to see movies, which they have them coming out soon in the next few years, more movies, and subbing subscriptions are not the ones that are going back and, there's some witch thing in Rebels or Clone Wars. It is fan service. It might not be.
I'm going to retract what I said.
Mainstream.
I'm going to retract what I said. There's fan service, and then there's bad fan service. Bad fan service is different. Putting the witches into this, well, it's different witches, isn't necessarily. I don't really call that fan service, but if we are, I'm not going to say it's bad fan service. Giving Chewie a medal is bad fan service. Using the Anakin/Luke lightsaber in Episode 7 is horrific fan service.
Yeah.
So that's fan service done badly.
I think it's just a callback, right? It's a bad one,
a really bad one. Yeah,
and that's fine too, right? But you can also do it right when you have a world that's been built out. And let's just take it back to my favorite series that has come out in a long time, in Fallout. And they did it all right.
Yes.
With the fan service, the callbacks, the world building and inclusion of relevant fan service, or relevant, linking of the video games and the, just internet, independent fan fiction being brought in, those kinds of things into the show, and did it right, without it being taken too serious and being too gratuitous needlessly.
I think it dug into the gratuitous and it needed it because because to me, Fallout is also, it's the best thing that's come out this year. Hands down, it is the greatest thing that's come out. No argument for me there. I think that it had to stick that landing so bad because it doesn't have 30, 40 plus years of other stuff out there that you can forgive. This is its first screen time on screen. No. But it's all been video game. So when a new video game comes out, and Fallout 4 didn't review as well as New Vegas, everybody still is going to forgive it and play the hell out of Fallout 4. But they're going to be like, yeah, there's stuff in 3 I wish they still had in there. Yeah. But if you don't have any other show to judge it on, if that thing flops, you don't get the normies out there to watch it, no more Fallout. No more Fallout. We're done. So it had to do it. Yeah, Last of Us had to stick the landing. Those had to do it. Star Wars doesn't have to do that.
It does to a point, right? And I think my view on this is, I think they aren't giving enough reason to bring in younger generations of kids.
I disagree. They're going to watch it no matter what.
Wait. With Acolyte or Star Wars in general?
In Star Wars in general.
The kids are going to watch no matter what. Yeah,
Star Wars has got with Rebels, with Bad Batch, with Ahsoka. It's with Mandalorian.
That's 10 years ago, right? That the Rebels, Clone Wars. That's your kid.
Clone Wars might be 10 years ago, but Rebels is more recent.
Now, Rebels is right around COVID. That's 6 years ago.
Rebels ended during the beginning of COVID. But Rebels been done for a few years. Yeah.
So, but I mean, when you look at it, right, they have to stick some of these landings a bit, because the next generation, like there's a big gap here. Kids don't watch TV like we did and our kids did anymore.
Where's the gap?
Kids in elementary school today.
Yeah, the first movie they're going to go see is they're going to go see The Mandalorian and Grogu, and all these little kindergartners are going to go, "Oh my God, Grogu! Now I got to go back and watch them all."
I'm gonna take a stab and say, when ratings are said and done here, the 80% of this audience, 90% of the audience for this show, and any show that comes out right after this, unless they go hardcore at the kids, is going to be 18 and up.
Well, Andor will for sure.
I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that.
Andor will be the next thing to come out. Well, actually, no. The next show that's coming out is Skeleton Crew, and it's a kid show.
When kids go back to school this fall, they're not going to be talking about this show.
No, because
they're not going to be talking about
nobody's talking about Fallout right now. Nobody's talking. Nobody talks about anything after a week it's over.
Kids don't watch TV like you guys. We do. They don't watch TV like your kids do.
No,
they don't.
No. Nobody consumes the way the Generation Xers did because we had to watch TV when it aired.
But
these kids don't have to do that.
Our kids did or do because some of them are still younger, right? But the younger generation, the ones that are in elementary school, going into junior high right now, they don't watch TV.
And you know what though? And then you know what that means? And if that's the case, they're not watching anything, so it doesn't matter. All they're watching is TikToks and other bullshit. And then it doesn't mean it means narrative universes are done. It just that's where it's at. I mean,
yeah, and I don't see that happening at all because
I don't really see it happening.
I think that I personally I think kids will watch The Acolyte, and I feel like that's probably the thing I'm most upset about is that this subpar piece of garbage is going to be the thing that they get introduced to Star Wars.
Well, I think a lot of them. When Skeleton, what Skeleton Crew's about? That's the one with Jude Law that's coming out. It's basically a Lost in Space show. Yeah. It's all kids. It's all Padawans and stuff.
I'll tell you right now. You can do any story within the Star Wars universe. It doesn't have to have Jedi in it. It doesn't have to have. You don't have to, like The Mandalorian. You don't have to have Jedi in it. You don't. I mean, Mandalorian does have that dark saber thing, which I think. I mean, you didn't even need to have that. I mean, I get that it's a part of the show for a specific reason, but like, I think the show, just the universe is created. It's there. If it's well written and the characters are interesting and the story is interesting, and I think that's all you need. I think where I think the Mandalorian show struggled, in my opinion, is just pacing. It feels a little bit slow at times.
I just rewatched season 3 and I really, really enjoyed the hell out of it.
Well, I think season 3 is really. I think it's a lot better. I think I'm referring more to season 1, but
it was the first one. That was the first show.
In season 3, when you get to the, it feels like it's more about where he's helping the Mandalorian get back their planet, get back their culture, to rebuild. He's a piece of that, and which I think is cool. But at the end of the day, it kind of feels like he's not the main character of that particular season. It feels like, I mean, he is. He's the glue that holds it all together. But
Bo-Katan.
I feel like Bo-Katan is the Mandalorian of that season. I feel like she is. And I feel like in that way, that might be just if you're a fan of Mando, I think you could be a little disappointed by season 3. Just that it's like, oh well, I mean, I think what he did was cool. I think he goes into the water and he gets his honor back and everything, and you see the thing in the water. What's the?
It's on the tip of my tongue, man. It's on the tip of my tongue. Yeah.
Yeah, it's on Boba Fett's sleeve. The skull of it. Anyway, there's a lot of cool stuff going on in that show, and I really like Mandalorian. I think Mandalorian is great.
Okay, I thought everything sucked. I mean, what do you're so all over the place right now. I know you're trying to hate on Acolyte, but it's you're back in there's no consistency in what you're saying.
No, there is consistency.
No,
I can like a show.
You said it's all crap. Everything is crap except for maybe Rogue One and a little bit of Andor. That's what you said. That was your basis, and I said I'm going to hold you to that the rest of this podcast. Yeah. Okay. So I'm holding you to it. So you're very inconsistent right now.
I have used my Jedi powers to insert my thoughts.
No, I'll tell you. I'll tell you right. I'll tell you then. Fine, if that's what you want to do, great. Then Mando is actually garbage, and here's why. I'll tell you why. Mando, who gives a shit about some fucking Mandalorian guy that we don't know anything about? Why was that not Boba Fett? Why was that not Boba Fett's story? Why is that story some guy that we don't know anything about, and then why is he got to have this baby Yoda with him the whole time? I don't know. I like the show. I thought bringing in the IG robot, was cool, and a lot of that stuff. But I mean, if you want, I can make arguments for it being crap.
No, I'm just saying you tried to start making an argument that everything was crap, and I don't know if you succeeded.
I think everything since Disney has bought Star Wars has been, at the very least, disingenuous. I think Dan's right. They know they got something that'll make money. I don't think they care.
I think
that's
you've got a lot of creative. I think like the suits at the top for sure. They want a bottom line. They want to make sure it's profitable. But I think the actual creative people making stuff, it's a lot more difficult than just, to say that like, Leslie Headland wants to make a crap show and doesn't care. When you hear her interviews, like the amount she knows about Star Wars is incredible. Like she is an absolute wealth of knowledge putting in this. And that's why it's like I'm saying, like, I think this show is really, really good, and it's got some poor execution within it. Where I think like where the comparison would be like the Book of Boba Fett doesn't have a really good story, but it's got a few cool elements in it. I think the overarching story of Ahsoka has been absolutely phenomenal so far, and same with Andor. Like, there is really rooted into what it's doing and does it well, because Ahsoka really does feel like Rebels animated come to life, where Andor really does feel like Rogue One moving into Episode 4, and it feels very cohesive. This is its own new beast, and it's its own new thing, and I think over a period of time, I think it's going to age exceptionally well.
Acolyte?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. That's what he thinks. I would like to just say this. My opinion of Clone Wars. Okay, I did not watch the show, and there's a reason I didn't. The character Ahsoka. Why would Anakin have a Padawan? And here's why. They needed another toy that they could sell. It doesn't make any sense.
You know who created Ahsoka? George Lucas.
George Lucas created it, right?
George Lucas created Ahsoka.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It doesn't make any sense. There are always two, and now there are three. Because he is Padawan to Obi-Wan.
No, he's not. He's a knight at that point. When he takes Ahsoka on, he's not a Padawan anymore. He's a knight.
He's a knight.
Yeah.
You
don't have to be a master to have a Padawan.
I still don't like it. I don't like the whole thing. Because there's no discussion of her in the first three movies, or in the, if he had a Padawan, she would be in there. She'd be fighting for him.
So let me ask you.
What did you just say there? Hang on a second. What did you say, Chuck?
She'd be in there.
In where?
Fighting in those first three movies.
You have to watch the Clone Wars. Yeah. I mean, I can spoil her story arc and why she's not. It's in there. It's all in there, and it makes perfect sense.
All right. So
we would have at least heard about her.
From who?
All right.
Somebody would have brought her up.
Who?
Somebody. She was his Padawan.
Who would have brought up who? Okay, who in Episode 4, for instance, knows about Ahsoka other than Obi-Wan? And Obi-Wan's not going to say shit.
Well, I think Chuck's saying by Episode 3, right?
In Episode 3?
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about?
At some point she would have come up.
Okay, so why does she need to come up? Because where her story leaves at the end of the Clone Wars she actually leaves before Clone Wars ends. So she leaves well before Episode 3 starts. There's like 2 seasons without Ahsoka. And for really good reasons. And when the Jedi are all killed off, it's just assumed she's dead. Or they don't even know, because you know what? I'm going to spoil it. She's not a Jedi. She leaves the Jedi Order completely.
Not a spoiler. I mean,
yeah, that's what I thought. I'm like, yeah, it doesn't matter. I'll just say it.
How can the Jedi do that? How can the Jedi let? Okay, I have the same question with Osha. Why would they let her just leave? Like, she's got force powers. she could easily turn to the dark side without their guidance. Like, shouldn't they be watching over her?
It's not a game. You don't, they don't kill you if you try to leave.
No, I know that, but
Yeah,
it's
you have
like,
the freedom to leave.
okay, but it's almost like, okay, you have force powers, you have force abilities. If you leave and you haven't subscribed to and or believe in the teachings of the Jedi, then there's a good chance you're gonna drift toward the dark side, don't you think?
Maybe. That some do. That's where the Inquisitors come in.
I think it's dangerous.
But I mean,
In fact,
in the High Republic era, there's like all different types of Force users. They call it all different things. There's like multiple factions, and in the planet Jeddah, which is in Rogue One, you see like the fallen statue, the big giant monuments of Jedi. That's like one of the main places where they congregate all these different areas and kind of argue about why their religion should be allowed to do certain things and all this other stuff. I mean, that's like a big part of the lore, what's going on during that time. So it's just like when they see the witches and they're just like, kind of leave them alone. Like, that's why Trinity's all like, dude, yeah, people put paint on their faces all over the place. It's not that weird. We should just leave it. She's saying leave it alone. We know all these different groups are out there. That doesn't mean you go and kill them. That doesn't mean that they're dark, or that they may be dark, but if they're not doing anything and they just want to be left on their own, whatever, It's not like, because they're already of the opinion that the Sith are gone. Sith are the bads. Those are the ones that are going to cause the massive problem. They're the ones that want the ultimate power.
mm-hmm.
So it doesn't mean that you can't leave the Order. It doesn't mean that there aren't Jedi that go bad, because obviously they do. So there's episodes in the Clone Wars where actual Jedis start fighting other Jedis because they're like, yeah, this is a good deal over there, and I don't like the way you've been handling this. It's worth watching. There's some crap in there. It's worth watching. There's some really good stuff in it.
To me, it seems to muddy the water a lot because
so what? It's like it's gonna muddy the water because you don't have like the clean 3 movies that we had growing up with. Now they expanded out. I mean, what do we have? When I first met you, the first thing I saw was you're reading The Last Command, the Timothy Zahn book. I'm like, hey, I bet that guy's okay. Guess what? Those books muddied the water instantly. In the first freaking chapter, Lando Calrissian's drinking hot chocolate. How dumb is that? We gonna talk about dumb? And everybody's like, oh, they should have done those movies. They're so great. Oh, come on. Are you kidding me? There's like things in all this extra lore that is good and terrible at the same time. And it's just like the more books that come out. What?
Where are our force-eating lizards that block the force?
This Yosemite?
Yes.
Yeah, those guys,
it's something like that. It's something like that. But you know what? They'll come back. I guarantee you they're gonna pull that. Like Thrawn will have them. Like as he comes back, he like brought him back. The witches will have him, or who knows? I would love to see that too. But it's like there's so many books that came out. There's like 5,000 books that came out since like the early '90s, and it's just like most of them aren't that good.
No, they're awful.
Yeah. So it's just like to worry about that stuff. It's just like, oh my God, any one of these Star Trek books. There's so many terrible Star Trek books. There's so many terrible Star Trek episodes throughout the whole thing. There's a lot of different people working on a lot of different stuff. Some of it sticks and some of it doesn't. I'm just happy that I get it. So I'm not going to complain. That's why I can't sit here and be mad about it. It's like my 8-year-old me. If in 1983, when Return of the Jedi ended, and I wasn't going to know that there wasn't going to be another Star Wars thing of any value to come out till 1999, and you would have told me, yeah, but wait 25 years, you're going to have all these other movies. Oh my God, that'd be the coolest thing ever. Just to be able to jump into all that. These kids growing up today get to get Disney Plus, and they could watch 9 million hours of Star Wars, unfiltered, in a row. Probably watch The Acolyte all in one sitting, where it would probably work much better, as we've also discussed. It would.
Yeah, without a doubt.
It would. And a lot of the shows would work better back to back. Like I said, watching again Boba Fett. Watching it back to back, it's tolerable. I enjoy like the Sarlacc pit scene. I wish that whole show was actually just about him getting his ship out of Jabba's palace. That would have been a great show. Just stop right there. Just get the ship. That's the whole thing. How to infiltrate Jabba's palace. 2 bounty hunters figuring it out.
Most of Mandalorian season 1 and season 2 could have been done basically the same way. Just it's a 1 hour movie crammed into like 20 freaking episodes per season. That's how much substance is actually there.
It's about,
maybe.
I think they're like 8 episodes a season, and each one's like a half hour also, so it's like 4 hours.
I feel like they were longer, but maybe I'm wrong.
Some are shorter, some are longer, some are 45 minutes, some are actually like 20 something minutes.
Oh, you
They
are
jump all
right.
over.
So I'm looking at episodes. There's total of 24 episodes total, right? For all 3 seasons for Mandalorian. Probably could have been a trilogy of movies.
Well, and you know what? And you could be right there. I'm glad we got what we got, and I think maybe they're taking what you just said to heart and going, yeah, let's just make a movie now. We've got this story. There's no reason to make an 8 episode thing. Let's just make a single movie, because it's. I mean, these are building blocks to like an Ultimate Thrawn movie. You guys know that, right? So this movie will tie into probably the next season of Ahsoka in some way, shape, or form, because you've got Ezra and everything now back in the universe. So, and Thrawn's back in the universe, so he becomes the big baddie of everything. That may tie into this Mandalorian movie a little bit. And then you're going to have, they're just kind of building all those characters that are left from Rebels and kind of like what's left. And I suppose you could do some CGI Harrison Fords. Who knows?
I just hope that Benedict Cumberbatch is Thrawn by the time we get to a movie. He's the perfect Thrawn.
It's going to be the same guy who did it before.
Yeah, I hope not. All right, so I got a question for you guys then. If you had a magic Star Wars machine that spit out your perfect Star Wars movies, but kept the story going in the way you want it to be, what would be the template, the foundation? Which Star Wars movie or live action show, I'm not giving you your Clone Wars and Rebels, would you pick to be the foundation for your next, Star Wars trilogy?
So do I have to keep everything with that we currently have? I'm adding to it?
Yes, you're saying, hey, this really gets me going. I want more of this. This is what I want the most of. This is what what will make me the happiest moving forward. This is what I want Disney to do.
I got about 3 or 4 of them. So let me.
You get one.
I get one. Okay.
This is the one you push the button and it's gonna make.
Well, I got to decide if I want to go if I want to go Knights of the Old Republic, or if I want to go 1,000 years into the future. I want it that far removed from everything else. I either want to go
That's okay. The story doesn't have to be like a consecutive story, but the style of the movie, the presentation of the show, or whatever, you want that method of writing, editing, directing, and acting to be carried forward. What is your template for?
So you're saying do I want it like the original Lucas things? Do I want it like the Andor feel, like that kind of thing? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. Do you want Andor? Do you want Rogue One? Do you want Attack of the Clones? Do you want Empire Strikes Back? Do you want?
I want Ahsoka. Ahsoka.
You want Ahsoka? Okay.
It's to me, it's the most interesting stuff. I already know what happens in Andor.
What's your template for your magical Star Wars machine?
For me?
Yep.
I agree with Justin, probably 100%. The first thing that came to my mind was Knights of the Old Republic. How I would do it would be I would use the visual. I think I like the way Ron Howard edited and directed, and I don't think he directed the whole movie, but he took over
Solo. He directed like 90% of it. He actually directed, I think, almost 100% of it.
Really?
I think before they filmed any, the guys who did the Lego movie were already off of it before they did any principal photography.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. I thought
maybe
he came in later.
Yeah, he did most of it. I know that for sure. Maybe I'm wrong there, but most of it's Ron Howard.
And that movie, I think, was a love letter to American Graffiti in a lot of ways. I do feel that way, but I mean,
whimsical, carefree. It's got a lot of action and a lot of. It's very much it's very much Indiana Jones.
It was kind of Indiana Jones. There's like one thing that I thought was kind of not cool in it, and it's like where like Han Solo's name, like he says Solo, and they're like, okay, Han Solo.
Yeah,
like,
why would you keep that? He's like, I'll keep that. That's a good name. I'll keep it.
Yeah, it's a good name. I'll hold on to that one.
Yeah, that's weird.
But
yeah, I thought that was weird too.
It was kind of a weird origin.
Yeah.
But I thought. But here's the thing.
Fan service not done great.
And maybe why the reason I was like a little upset by the witches in the talking about the Wookiee is because the Empire treated non-human aliens like garbage, and specifically the Wookiees. They treated them horribly, and I feel like I kind of felt like, oh, are they saying he's weaker or like lesser of a being? And like that's where my mind went first, and I agree with you guys. No, he's stronger than them, so they could easily use him.
Yeah, because the witches have a bunch of different races in there. They're not just human.
No, I know that, but
there's a few races in there.
Yeah, no, I wasn't saying that. Yeah.
But so my whole point on this exercise, right? And if I had to pick one, like what I want to get out of Star Wars, I want more Rogue One, right? I want the grittier, more serious style of movie, and it just kind of reflects what like everybody wants a little something different out of.
Yeah, but see, here's the thing, like, and I think Justin makes a good point. When if you look at this, these movies are for children. They're not for us.
Yeah, they are. They're for everybody. They're made for kids and adults to like also.
No, right, but they're not making these movies going, you know, what is some 50-year-old white guy going to be thinking about this movie, you know?
Well, I think they do with Andor.
He's going to hate Jar Jar, but, you know, he'll get over it.
Unless you're an art studio, every single movie that gets produced needs money, which means you need an audience, and it has to make money for the producers, the investors in the movie. So 100%, they're thinking, you know, what does the 50-year-old white guy want out of this movie? Because it's probably 50%.
There's a demographic. Yeah,
he's the one paying for his kids to go to the movie.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And if I don't like it, I'm not going to go. You know, I'm not going to take my kids.
But I'll tell you, I'll tell you that those first three movies were a spectacle. The special effects were unlike anything anybody had ever seen. Like it really was a happening.
Okay.
Those three movies.
Okay, but to really Dan's point, yeah, I mean, Dan, the wonderful thing about what you just said with that small exercise we just did, we have all these things. Mm-hmm. We've got more Andor coming. There'll probably be something gritty coming down the road also later on that's going to have that feel of Andor because people really love it. But guess what? Andor still doesn't get as many viewers as Ahsoka does or Mandalorian does. You know,
because
it does really well.
I don't think it speaks to the kids as much.
No, but it speaks to the greater audience of Star Wars. So they give us that taste, then they give you the taste of, hey, you guys want something like Rebels, you want like the mystical Jedi stuff that we can continue on those stories. Here's your Ahsoka stuff. Hey, who likes Boba Fett? You like those helmet guys, right? We got Mandalorian. You know, the kids that grew up on Rey are going to get the Rey movie in a couple years. You know, so that starts filming probably next year.
Yes, and then that's another reason why, like, should the three of us even be discussing Acolyte? Because I don't feel like Acolyte was made for us.
Sure was.
On any level.
I okay, what was made for me? It was made for me. It gave me completely new Star Wars in a completely new time frame of Star Wars. It fills that itch. I mean, like, get away from Skywalkers as far away as you possibly can. You know? Get away from it. Unless you could reasonably tie it in well. Ahsoka, they go to a new galaxy. Get away from Skywalkers. Get away from Anakin. But they bring Anakin in, and it's done correctly, you know? It's done well. If they bring Luke in later, because there's a spot where I think they could actually bring in Luke and it'd be awesome, great. But
where Acolyte misses the mark is the execution is just too all over the place. It's not a consistent feeling from start to end, and I don't think it's on purpose, right? I don't think it's this disjointed on purpose. I think that, you know, the showrunner, the executive producers did a poor job in giving too much leeway to individual directors and writers of individual episodes and not having cohesion across the whole series so far.
I think that's
Maybe.
I think that's an
Maybe.
absolute fair criticism, 100%. An absolute fair. Like that to me isn't like that's the criticism I want to hear, because I think it just, first of all, it vibes. It does. It's still a matter of opinion, but you're not just going everything's crap. It's just like, no, this is why we have an issue here. I appreciate that sort of critique, and I mean, we're gonna see. We got another week of this. So we get to put a bow on this bad boy next week. All right.
I hope it's a banger like episode 5. And
I absolutely hope it. I hope it does. I mean, and I hope it has a strong finish so I can get more Khmer. I want Darth Plagueis. I want Darth Tibanus or whatever his mask. I want the lead up to Sheev Palpatine. That's what I want to see.
I feel like it's gonna die. It's gonna end with a whimper. I think we've seen the best of what this show has to offer.
I don't think it's going to end with a whimper, but I think it's going to fail to adequately connect the two stories. I think we're going to get a bone thrown to us because it's essentially two stories. The story of what happened before and what happened with Chimere and how they bring them together. If it is what's her name, the one with the horns on her
Spiky
head.
Witch.
Yeah, it's Spiky Witch.
Spiky Witch.
Witch Maul.
As the Sith in the shadows. However, it's such a tenuous thread amongst all of the series so far that the payoff it would have to be absolutely spectacular and something we aren't seeing coming. I don't think there's anything we haven't seen coming so far except for them killing off Yord and Jackie. That's the only two twists that I've seen this whole thing so far.
Yeah, I was surprised they killed off the main characters in this show are very uninteresting.
I mean, other than I'm your father, there really hasn't been any other twists in Star Wars.
Yes,
so, Star Wars isn't usually very twisty. This is like.
But this
I think there's gonna. I'm gonna say there's gonna be a pretty good surprise in this last episode. And I think Saul's gonna die. And I think. Of
course he does.
And I think May might die as well.
I would like both Osha and May to die, to be honest.
I'd be fine with that. I just want Khmer as the character moving on. Like moving on, I just care about Khmer, and that's it. I'm fine. I'm absolutely fine with that. I didn't need to be attached to the characters, and it's just like they told the story. I think Saul's story, if he has to sacrifice himself or gets killed without a weapon, is my guess. Although, how do you kill a Jedi without a weapon could also be you turn him to the dark side,
Turn him to the dark side.
It's.
Dan said that. Didn't you say that, Dan?
I think I said it.
Or you said, somebody said it, and I was like, yeah, that's totally how you do it.
Yeah. So, I mean, maybe Saul gets turned.
I think Osha gets turned, kills May, and then
kills Saul.
and kills Saul. Maybe kills everybody. But then her and Khmer or whatever, they leave. They're it's like the end of Grease. They just fly off.
That could happen.
Into the sky.
That's where it looks like it's going.
Yeah.
I think that's a satisfactory ending, to be honest. It's a good
over-under on episode 8's length.
22 minutes.
I'm setting it at
about half hour.
45.
Nah, it's gonna be under 30 minutes. 30 minutes.
20 minutes.
If it's under 40 minutes, there's no shot at them wrapping this up. Well,
didn't Justin say we had 40 some minutes left, and we've already used 22 minutes of it?
Huh?
Because of episode 6.
Yeah, you said that there was 40 minutes of film left, and there were 2 episodes left. Maybe I misheard you, but I thought you said that.
I don't know. I think anything executed, you could tell a lot of story in a short amount of time. Depends how good of a storyteller you are.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you look at Up. I mean, they showed like that guy's whole entire life in like the first minute and a half.
I think it's all an execution.
By the end.
And honestly, it's the same director that did episode 6, and I thought episode 6 was an excellent build-up to whatever it's going to. So I really liked episode 6.
Hey, you guys, seriously though, where the fuck is the 180? Where's the $180 million in this? I ain't seen it.
I don't even care. That doesn't mean
Still
anything to me because okay. So I see that get thrown around all the time. Oh, $180 million. Look what they did this show with, and then they do this and whatever. I don't know.
Oh,
They build props. They build costumes. They have to go on location. I don't know what it costs. Maybe they had to shut down because storms for a week. I don't care. I don't care what it costs.
just wondering because
it doesn't matter.
Just don't. I mean,
what does it matter if it costs $17 billion or 15 cents? What does it matter? Who cares?
It's just not visually that stunning or interesting. The music isn't that good. Like,
there was a Kylo Ren theme in the last episode. I don't know if you guys caught it.
Didn't catch it.
Yeah, they've done it 3 or 4 times now. I think there's a Knights of Ren. I think and I think it could. Like the other thing, this could end up being instead of Sith, it could be a Knights of Ren origin story.
Well, but he says he's Sith.
He said you might call me a Sith.
Yeah, might call me.
Yeah, it wasn't like. Yeah.
So she's already made a comment in an interview about that the theme of Kylo Ren is there purposefully as an allusion to something.
Yeah. So we'll see. Let's speaking of bows, let's put a bow on this one, and let's come back next week firing away again because we're at about an hour and a half right now. Oh, we're longer than an hour and a half.
Yeah.
I got a little heated.
We might have to cut this into a whole season worth of Acolyte.
I'm just gonna make 22 episodes, 3 of them, and just when we get to the point where we start making a really good point, cut it right there, and then start the next one. But we're gonna wait a week. Because I'm totally on board. I think the flow of it would be way better if it was done as 4 big episodes, and I don't like the way episode 3 and 7 were directed or acted. But other than that, I like the overarching stuff, and I hope it sticks the landing. But we'll see.
Yeah, and I do want to say, I told you so. That I told you episode 7 was not going to be good.
You're right.
And I am going to totally eat crow on the fact that it was May that started the fire. I'm a little disappointed about that. That's the one thing I wanted to talk about. The fire was dumb. That's the execution that I hated in it. I hated the fire part.
The argument that rocks don't burn, on Earth they don't. You don't know what the rocks on that planet are made of.
I don't care. And it is more of it looked like it was actually an electrical fire that went throughout the insides of everything. And whatever goo is inside that device. It's Star Wars crap. I don't care. I thought there was kind of some weak sauce on it, though. That was bad execution. I
don't understand why the whole place blew up.
Exactly, it's stupid. That's
the
stupid.
Reactor core. Or whatever.
Why would the fire outside? Speaking of, you have a character named OSHA, and you're gonna let this stuff go, But I don't know. Maybe I guess it makes sense because Star Wars never has railings on anything for the most part. This is the most railings I've seen in a Star Wars show. And why would the bridge have railing? Yeah, but poor electronics.
Oh yeah, we didn't even talk about that. Why the hell is he holding up the walkway? Just hold the girls up.
I don't know, man. Wookiee just kicked his ass. Wookiee just kicked his ass, and he's still a knight. He's not a master.
You've been on this planet for 7 weeks, and you haven't noticed the giant mining mountain? I don't know.
That he walked to.
Yeah. Well, no,
he took a speeder. He took a speeder.
Because they sent him off to another sector.
He went to a new area. That was a new area, completely new area. I'm fine with that.
He walked after them when he found them at the tree. He ran after them.
Okay. Hang on, wait. But he had to visually see them. So the whole Virgins to the Force. This is the 4th one we've seen, right? So we've got this one, which is somewhere on the planet. It's not the girls, according to the showrunners. You've got Dagobah, Anakin.
No.
And then I'm guessing Octu. It was never said, but it probably is. I'm guessing Octu. Octu is the planet that Luke's hiding on.
Yeah, when she falls down into that cave and sees that she's a clone, and then
did anybody else in episode 6 not see the parallels between Noctu and where Chimere's at?
It was it's not the same planet.
I thought they were the same planet.
It's not. It's not. It's supposed to be like it though. They said they wanted to make it similar to it. They actually, there is a planet named for it. They said it's an unknown planet, but it starts with a B, and it's one of the known planets that has the metal that's cortosis. It's a place, one of them, and it's actually where Darth Plagueis and Tenebris like kind of hang out. It's like a Sith planet. So, but that's legends. That's legends.
Whatever they are,
well, then I mean that fits right with what Headland said in her interview that the horny witch is on a Sith planet.
Spiky witch.
Spiky witch. Sorry, it could be horns.
Witch Maul.
Yeah, that's a better name.
All right, I'm gonna start playing the music right now. So let's all say goodnight.
Good night, everybody. Thanks for listening.
Good night.